What lessons can we learn from an Army Ranger turned entrepreneur? Stay tuned and find out.
Welcome.
Okay, here's the question.
Serious?
How are we dark horses? You know, the ones everyone is betting against, the ones they don't expect to win, place, or even show on the track, and they'll even laugh on us when we talk about trying. How do we show the world our greatness and triumph?
Come on.
Well, that's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers.
Let's go.
This is The Dark Horse Entrepreneur. My name is Tracy Brinkman.
And push it up.
What is up? What is up? What is up, my Dark Horse friends and family? Welcome back to your weekly dose of warrior level entrepreneur learning. I'm your Dark Horse host, Tracy Brinkman. You already knew that. Here's what's really important. That's you. You, my friend, are a driven entrepreneur, or perhaps you're just one of them in the making. Either way, you're here because you're ready to start, restart, kickstart, and just start leveling up with some great marketing, personal, or business tips and results in order to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. And that's why I'm here bringing on these guests that I believe are going to help deliver the value on this podcast that we can all benefit from. And if you want to keep getting that value and not miss a single episode, be it an interview episode or the solo episodes of the Dark Horse Entrepreneur, make sure you go on down there, hit that subscribe button, go on ahead and give us a 5-star rating, leave us some kind words in the reviews. Why do I want to do that? Well, the reason you want to do that is that's your way of telling those podcast platforms out there that you are getting that value. See, those podcast platforms out there will lift us a little bit up in the ratings so that we can reach more driven entrepreneurs just like yourself. So please take a moment, show the love, and help spread the word. I appreciate you. All right, another big episode. Let's get right into it. So today's guest is Matthew Griffin, and Matthew shares so many amazing lessons that come from not only the battlefield, but from doing battle on the business field. Now, while I tell you Matthew is a warrior, I mean that in every sense of the word. But here's the thing, I don't want you to get it twisted. Matthew has this golden heart as well, which to me, all true warriors have, even if they've never seen a military field of battle. Plus, I'm going to let you in on next week's interview guest, who's an American entrepreneur, an actor, an entertainer, a stand-up comedian, a filmmaker, as well as a founder of 2 companies. So, as per usual, the Dark Horse corrals are chock full of personal, business, and marketing gold spilling from every corner of the Dark Horse Entrepreneur HQ. So let's get to the starting gates and go. All right, my Dark Horse friends and family. Tonight's guest is Matt Griffin, but he goes by Griff. Now, Griff co-founded Combat Flip-Flops in Kabul, Afghanistan. Now, Griff specialized in developing solutions for companies growing businesses in difficult locations. Now, let's talk about difficult for a minute. And Griff was a former Army Ranger, combat veteran, executive producer for award-winning documentaries, voted the top 100 most influential veterans in America, and a few other awards he was too embarrassed to write down. That's all right. We'll get him to release it here. Griff is a graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point with a degree in engineering management. Griff served as a 75th Ranger Regiment as the Rifle Company Fire Support Officer. That's a mouthful right there. With 3 tours in Afghanistan and 1 tour in Iraq. Now, post-military, Mr. Griffin moved to the private sector as a director of military sales for Remote Medical International, and he was a director of special operations for Protect the Force. Griff currently serves as the logistics officer for Team 5 Foundation, and in the off time, as if he has any, right, you can find Griff slaying the powder with skis, slaying the dirt with bikes, and of course, big game with those carbon fiber arrows. All right, enough babbling from me. Griff, welcome to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur, man.
Well, thanks for having me here today. I love that intro. I kind of sitting back here humbling, like, who's he talking about? Looking behind me.
Who is this guy he's talking about, right? You know, it's funny. It's sometimes when someone else tells you some of the things you've done, you're like, oh yeah, I did do that, right?
Yeah.
But like I was telling you earlier, one of the first thing I like to do is kind of step back from my babbling microphone and let you tell your story. Let people get to know Griff behind the scenes kind of thing, the good, the bad, the ugly that brought you are to where you are today and why you love doing what you do so much.
Well, it's a lot. It's a super long story.
Okay.
I will encourage everybody who wants to learn more about me. We actually wrote a book about what we're doing. It's called
nice.
Steps Ascending, Rise of the Unarmed Forces. And then we actually made it available for free when COVID hit, because a lot of people were sitting at home and they needed good audiobooks and books. And so just go to our website, combatflipflops.com. You can get it. I will outline the history of our company. But since you guys are listening to this podcast, I will give you this synopsis now.
Excellent.
I'm an only child from a divorced military family, bounced around a lot. I didn't come from a lot of wealth, so it was time to go to college. I actually did pretty well. So it was either get a scholarship, get a job, join the Army. And so I did all three. I put them all together and I went to West Point.
Nice.
I had a great time there. Love the community. Love what I was going to do for the Army. I graduated June 2nd, 2001. So we just passed my 20-year graduation reunion. Makes me feel older than my gray hair does. And then September 11th happened and we knew we were going to war. And I decided I'm going to go with the Rangers because that's, the hard hitting team in the Army. And I wanted to be there. So my first year in my conventional unit, went through special operations selection, got selected, did a whole bunch of tours downrange. And what I saw on the very pointy end of the spear was that the real enemy that we were fighting was poverty. When you're living in these villages and people talk about empathy, right? And you could say you're empathetic toward these people. You're not, because you've never suffered like that.
Right.
And my first deployment, we had to live in mountain villages for a couple months in the Hindu Kush. And I remember how cold and miserable I was. And I don't know when it happened, but there was a moment when I realized that I'm going to go home. Like in a couple months, I'll be sitting on my couch, drinking a beer, hanging out with my friends, being able to go to the movies or do whatever. But the people who live in this country who are unfortunate enough to be born there, they're never going to get to. And I when that realization hit me, I knew that there was nothing that I could do. And I was swinging the biggest hammers in the DOD with the Rangers as a fire sword officer, which meant like I dropped bombs off of airplanes and rockets off of helicopters and all that other,
Gotcha.
So there's nothing you could really do to combat poverty, even with all that power. And I really didn't have a solution to it. So I did, 4 tours through to Iraq, 3 to Afghanistan, 1 to Iraq. And then I got out because I didn't really see a path forward to this solution in the way that I was living. And went through my standard veteran transition. I drank hard, partied hard, fast cars, fast bikes. I got in a lot of trouble. And that's what happens when you pull people out of that community. And then I started getting into business and kind of got me back on the right path again. And then went back to Afghanistan in 2009. And I went into a combat boot factory and it changed my life. I'd never really seen anything positive in Afghanistan because we were living during the cycles of darkness. And we never worked during the day. We always worked at night and we were always going after the baddest of the bad. So my experiences were uniformly negative in Afghanistan.
Gotcha.
And I never really got to see anything positive. And when I stepped into this factory, I got to see the positivity that was created through business due to the space that was created by our service members. And I was inspired.
Nice.
That shortly came crashing down afterwards after the factory manager told me they were probably going to close the factory after the war ended because nobody was going to buy anything in Afghanistan. Got pretty angry knowing that our nation was going to make the same mistake again. And weird how everything works, but I just looked down on this table and there was this combat boot sole with a flip-flop thong punch through it. And I was like, man, Americans would buy this.
Yeah.
And I set it down. I walked out of the factory. I called my Ranger buddy and I said, hey, man, we're going to start a footwear company making flip-flops in a combat boot factory in Afghanistan. And he said, yep. And nobody had actually ever put the words combat flip-flops together on the internet. And so we got the domain name for $2.99. And that's how we started our company in 2009.
That's awesome.
So his name's Donald Lee. Fast forward another year, like most entrepreneurial ideas, they kind of sit while the rest of life happens.
Sure.
And then my sister-in-law married a guy named Andy Suri, and just one of the probably best entrepreneurs, numbers guys, designers you'll ever meet. He's a savant. And he came on to be our production manager. And the three of us with no footwear experience, no business experience, no e-commerce experience, started a footwear company making footwear in the hardest place on earth that you could.
Triple threat right there.
Fast forward, it's financially impossible to make footwear in Afghanistan just because they don't have the raw materials there. Amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk logistics, and the logistics were just too complicated.
Okay.
So we shifted our footwear to Bogota, Colombia. Narco finance insurgency and a mountain people suffering from decades of conflict. Colombia and Afghanistan are virtually one and the same. So we shifted our footwear production to Colombia, and then we started making textiles in Afghanistan. New people started coming up with new products. We started making a line of jewelry out of landmines from Laos, left over from the Vietnam War. We make our t-shirts and hats here in the US. And then for every product we sell, we put a girl in school for a day in Afghanistan. So there's a social mission behind what we do. So going back to help women, because you can't expect a nation to rise out of poverty when half the population is illiterate. And then when half that population is responsible for raising the entirety of the population, it's impossible. So our solution is to give women the ability to read. That's our number one thing. We put over 800 girls in school. We've cleared over 20,000 square meters of landmines. We've helped countless veteran charities at home. We had a good showing on Shark Tank. We sold millions of dollars in product. We're a family-owned business of 5 working in a bunch of different countries, and we're crushing it as much as we can every day. And if you're one of our customers, thank you. We wouldn't be here without the faith of our customers, because they waited a long time for their product when we first started coming out, and we can't thank them enough for their patience. And if you're new to us, if you're just hearing about us, check out our website. I promise you, our footwear wears better than it looks in photographs. Our stuff's hot. You'll dig it. I promise.
You should see this, and some of you will see this when I do the video version of this. The big smile on the man's face as he's sharing this, and that was one of the things that caught me was the flopperator, right? I'm a third generation military man myself. My grandfather, my dad was a lifer, so I grew up like you all over the United States, and he did a couple of tours over in Germany when I was a kid, and I joined just right out of high school. I didn't go to West Point, unfortunately, probably a bad choice on my part, and served 6 years, but certainly have a special spot in my heart for all those that do that for us. And you're right, when you see what's going on in the other countries, and sometimes how we or other countries just kind of leave them. We get in there, we do our thing, and then we back out. There's an untold story that you have certainly taken to heart, which is kind of huge. But getting to your website, which is combatflipflops.com, correct? I want to make sure I get that right for everybody.
That's it. Everything on socials at Combat Flip-Flops too.
There it is.
Yeah.
You definitely have to check this out. There's an outstanding apparel there, some cool accessories, men's and women's, as well as the footwear. And having served myself in the apparel industry for a decade and a half, probably, footwear is no joke. I mean, there's so many intricacies in just footwear alone that it can be difficult, which I'm sure you learned it the hard way, right?
Yeah, half the numeric, like if humans have a certain number of bones in their body, half of them are in your feet. They're very complicated.
Yeah.
And so to actually make a product that, performs well, fits well, lasts, it's really complicated, and it's a tribute to our team and our manufacturers, because our stuff is rad.
So let's go there about your team. So you said there's 5. You've mentioned 3 of them. You, your co-founder, and the gentleman who came on, is he still your production director to this day? Yeah,
he's my brother-in-law. So we are legitimately a family-owned business. So my brother-in-arms, Donald Lee, my brother-in-law, Andy Suri, and then our first hire was a woman named Jill Doherty. We say she puts the ill in Jill. She runs our customer service. And if you think our products are rad, our customer service is even better. Like we pride ourselves on taking care of our customers.
Sure.
And then her son, Zach, actually convinced them not to go to college and to come work for me as our media director. And he's been shooting videography and photography for us for nearly 10 years now.
Nice. Is he the one that did the shots that are on the website itself?
Yep.
That's some fire. Everybody, you got to check this out. I'm telling you, this is no joke. Okay, so I mentioned briefly the assortment of products that you and you mentioned some of it too. I didn't realize that some of that jewelry was I guess you would call that reconstituted metal from bad tools, I guess, right? Tools of warfare. What new products do you have on the horizon, or maybe projects you got going on?
So we have a new product. I'll grab it right now here. Give me one second.
Awesome. I see skateboards hanging on the wall too.
So a lot of people, they don't like the thing between their toes and the flip-flops, and everybody wants a slide sandal. So
okay.
Here's our new slide sandal.
Oh, nice. With the logo right there.
With the logos on them. Yeah. And they're super hot, and they're clean, and they're light, and they're going to fit your foot really well. So if you're the kind of sandals and socks person, like, this is you. And then to launch it, everybody knows that social media and the thumbnail image on the video is really important.
Mm-hmm.
How soon is this podcast going to come out? When's it going to launch?
Probably you're looking at about 4 weeks.
Perfect. Right. So people will be, by the time this comes out, they'll be able to see it. But I bought an A-Team van. Remember?
I remember A-Team. Yeah.
So I got a replica A-Team van and we're drifting it. So we're uncorking the motor. We got the suspension all stiffened up. We're putting flamethrowers out the sides by the rear wheels. So the thumbnail image is going to be like the van sliding sideways, shooting flames, burning smoke. And then people will watch it. And we'll have 30 seconds of a Ken Block, Red Bull-ish style hot rod commercial. Stops, big wall of flames. Bam, we make slides now. So that's going to be it.
That is sweet.
I'm pretty excited about it.
No
like my
doubt.
living room is full of car parts right now, and I am so happy about it.
Are you building this? Are you tricking out this van yourself, or you got someone working on that for you?
Yeah, I used to be a pretty big hot rod guy. I built stock cars with my dad growing up.
Okay.
So a whole bunch of our community members, we call them the unarmed forces. So I just put out a net call, and we've got a hot rod shop that's lending us their space, and a couple of really good mechanics are going to come down and help wrench on it next week. And we're going to shoot the whole thing like a car TV show to show people how we did it. And we'll release that after the launch of the commercial. So it's all about the content.
See, so I have to ask this: Are all these little ideas? Because these ideas are fire. For me, as an entrepreneur and having been around, listening to you say, "Hey, we're going to be filming just the production of the van," and then showing that behind the scenes, it is an awesome idea that so many people miss when they go into projects like this. Is this your idea or one of your awesome team members?
No, I mean it's a collaboration. Everybody comes up with this stuff. But a lot of people see us and they see the resume, they see the bullet points, they see all those things, and then they think to themselves, "Well, I can't do that. I don't have all that background." And what I'll tell you is that's bullcrap. Like, I'm the only person on my team that's been to college.
Nice.
Right. And like the stuff that I use in college is the big.
Did you go mute? We can't hear you now.
No.
There we go. I think we got you back.
Yeah, we got me back. Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So a lot of people are like, "Oh, how do they do it?" And man, we're not doing anything different than anybody else is doing. We just come up with an idea, we write it down, and then we start building the plan to make it happen. And then we just do it. And that's awesome. I think, that's what the entrepreneurs and the talkpreneurs, that's the difference between them and the entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs have the idea, they write it down, they plan it out, then they do it. And so our goal with all of this is to show people, like, if you have an idea, you can do it. It's not hard. You just got to do it. It takes time and effort, but it just needs to be done.
Yeah. And every time you hit that wall, you just got to figure out a way over, under, around it, or just blast through that sucker, right?
That's it. Breach or bypass, but I'm going through.
There it is. Breach or bypass. I'm gonna use that one. That's the good one.
Yeah.
All right. So, man, I can't wait to see that commercial now. Let alone
I can't wait to either. I'm probably the most excited about it.
That sounds so cool.
Yeah, we got a national drift race champ to drive the car. So it's even having like the hubris to saying like, "Hey, I'm building the car, but I'm going to put a much better driver in it because that's more important."
Yeah, you got to. We don't. This van tumbling would be a bad idea. We don't want none of that now.
Hey, don't put that in my world. Don't manifest
don't,
Bobby.
I'm taking that energy back. So now I know on top of this, you're running a speaking business. I think you mentioned some of the nonprofit efforts you're going through. I think you mentioned something about going to film school.
Yeah, I got to going to get a master's in film and production. Did I lose you here? You still there?
Yep, there we go.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm going back to school. I'm going to go to Seattle Film Institute in the fall to get a master's in film and production because everything we've done, if you've seen all of the stuff that we've done, I've done that just based on thinking what right looks like and executing upon it.
You're now listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
Right.
But the production stuff that we want to do moving forward is going to be more complicated, involve bigger dollars and more people. And there's just certain formats and tips and tricks and tools that I really need in my toolbox in order to be successful at that level. And so I'm super fortunate enough that my military service has qualified me for some educational benefits, and I'm going to leverage those benefits to further my business.
Sweet. It's funny you mentioned that is needing that extra level of knowledge to move yourself forward. I just got finished interviewing a gentleman by the name of Michael Stein, and I don't know if you ever heard of the movie Boogie Nights. It's
all
right. So he played Dirk Diggler in not the big silver screen version, but they're the smaller screen version. And then when they did it off on a play version, he played Dirk Diggler, and he also had a role in that film itself. But shortly after that, he said he wanted to start making, a feature film that he had in mind. And he realized that he needed to level up his knowledge to do that. So he put himself in as a director's assistant, right? As a production assistant for 3 years to gain that knowledge. And I'm like, dude, that is brilliant. I mean, we all want the knowledge. So you either go to a school and you go get it, the path you're taking, or you just step yourself right in there into a position of service and get the knowledge through, the day-to-day operations.
Which is weird for me to say, because normally I preach to most people, how did you start your business? It's personalmba.com. It's 99 books you can read. And if you read and understand the concepts in those books, you'll have the equivalent of an Ivy League MBA, and you can get it for the price of a library card.
There it is.
So I tell people, don't go to school, and say, here I am going to school. But it's a good school. They're local to me, and there's some other benefits that come with it as a result of going through the Department of VA. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to level up the game and really look forward to pushing out some big stuff here over the next couple years.
When you get through that, do you have a project in mind that you're going to be using this new skill set for?
So I'll tell you, since people are going to know, I want to throw the A-Team van out of a C-130 under parachute and then chase it out and skydive behind it. And then we'll do a full production video of it, but nice sunset drop, Fast and the Furious style, make it look cool. But that's what people want to see. They want to see that level of stuff. And if I can get somebody to give me 30 to 45 seconds of their time on social media through their phone with a compelling advertisement that they just want to see, did they just throw an A-Team van out of an airplane?
Right.
These guys have to be cool. Let me check out their website.
They're going to be waiting to see the name of the movie. That's going to be, usually that's the only thing you see events like that for, is all right, what's the name of this movie? I got to go see it. No, this is all about our website. No, that's going to be, okay, I'm definitely having to follow up on that one.
Yeah.
So,
and then again, going back, we're going to film all the content behind it. Like my friends from the Red Bull Air Force, they're going to be the skydivers and the in-air filmographers, and we got to deal with pilots, and we got to deal with permitting and everything else. And we're going to film that entire process and just show people how it's done.
That's awesome. And there's an educational piece that you can share with others along the way. Look, this is probably the craziest idea you'll ever hear of, but we're going to make it happen. And here's how we did it. That's fire. Now, you mentioned you called your community the Unarmed Air Force. What kind of wraps up for a community for you? Is it just your customers, or is it your avid buyers? Help me understand community in that sense.
So we call them the Unarmed Forces, right? And if everybody sits here and we want things to change in the world, we want. I think I lost you here on the.
I can still hear you. It's just the video froze up.
Okay. People want things changed in the world, and unfortunately we have to depend on our politicians and policymakers to make those changes.
Right.
And I think if we all look at it, the best indicator of future performance is past performance.
Right. And
they have failed us. And it's going to be on private industry to make the change that we want to see in the world. And so that only comes through profit. That only comes through product. And if you're going to be in this fight with us, let's go do it. You don't have to be young, strapping, barrel-chested freedom fighter. You can be a soccer mom living in Idaho. And if you feel that you want to make a change by putting people to work in war zones and putting little girls in school, and that's the best way that our nation can project itself forward, then you join our team. You buy a product, you're with us. That's all it takes.
That's it. That sounds pretty simple, right?
It's super simple, easy for everybody to understand.
Just go out there and buy some flip-flops, buy some t-shirts. I was looking at your t-shirts earlier today, and there were two that were my favorites, and for completely different reasons. The one is Drop Tacos, Not Bombs. Awesome. Big taco fan. But the other one was Be a Better Human, right? Which, I think if we all follow that mantra, a lot of things wouldn't be happening that we've been seeing happening. Where do you get these inspiration for, not just the humorous ones, but the ones where you're like, man, I totally get behind this. Let's make that particular, because that one's all over, hats, shirts, everything. And
it's I'll tell you the genesis of the story. Okay. I have two girls. My wife and I were pretty hammer execs at the time. And so we were spending a lot of time traveling. So we had to have a live-in nanny in the house to take care of our children and help raise them correctly and safely.
Okay.
And one day our nanny just came in and she was wearing this shirt that said, be a nicer human. And it's cool, but nicer now, be a better human.
Yeah.
Because like all that I care about is you're just a little bit better today than you are yesterday.
Yeah.
You just got to be better, right? Do you want to quit drinking? You know, you're drinking a 6-pack a night. Well, hey, drink 5 tomorrow. You know what? Even though it's not perfect, it's better. And then drink 4 after that. So you can gradually step your way towards progress and success.
Sweet.
A little bit of progress does a lot. If we all do a little together, we do a lot. And you don't need to be a perfect human, despite what the media and the internet and everything else tells you.
Right.
But just focus on today. Be better today than you were yesterday, and you're going to be fine. And even if you backslide, you're going to know where you're at. Just be better than you were yesterday, or you'll be better today than you were yesterday. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Be a better human.
And he said, if you backslide, we all know it's like when you backslide, because it happens, right?
When you backslide.
Yeah, when you backslide. Yeah. Geez, I like that. Be a better human. So as you've gone through and you've had a pretty cool career across your lifetime, you know, military, obviously the Rangers, I was airborne in the service. So you guys are next level stuff, right? So I'm a little guy that jumps out of the airplane. You're out there at the tip of the spear. Across your lifespan, business, non-business, whatever, what would you say your biggest struggle has been?
Drinking.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I just come from, Midwest, right? We drink a lot of beer out there. You start those habits early.
Sure.
The military is a big drinking environment, and you build those habits, and it's just so easy to get into a negative cycle where you feel like crap when you wake up. But what's the best way to feel better is, you have a beer, and all of a sudden 4 o'clock, end of the workday, you have a beer. I feel better. Like, well, let me have 2 or 3 more. And I'd have to say that every negative decision, every bad business interaction that I really could have done better could have done without alcohol. And I unfortunately, I came to that decision in my life a little bit too late.
Mm-hmm.
And, just genetically, I'm predispositioned to like alcohol and be able to consume lots of it. But yeah, I've been shown in every which way that it's not good for me, and I stopped, and my life has progressed forward immensely since doing that.
Nice. That's a tough one. I had a bout with drugs way back in my early days. So I feel you. Of course, mine was a little more extreme. Yours was legal, at least, right?
Yeah.
So here's one of the things I noticed in the intake form that you filled out for me. One of the questions I usually ask entrepreneur style folks that are coming on the show is, what kind of goal you got going out there? And you listed some really cool business goals, but the one that really caught my eye, you put at the end of this, hey, I want to do all these amazing business things, and I want to maintain a good family relationship. I think, and I'm going to ask the question, I think so many entrepreneurs get so wrapped up in their business that that causes falters in other parts of their lives. The fact that you even called that out, is this a new conscious thing for you? Or man, you were like, because I'm lucky enough to work with my family, I know how important that is. Tell me a bit about more of that.
I would have to say that for me, it's difficult. I've got 2 teenage girls now, and they started this business when they were super young.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy to get wrapped up into taking all the phone calls and doing all of these things and working long hours, and then you're missing out on their life.
Yeah.
And eventually, I think the aspirational part is either you're wildly successful, somebody comes in, takes over your role, and you're just getting dividends for the rest of your life, or some company comes in and buys you cash out.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you going to do with all that if you can't sit down and enjoy it with your family?
Right.
And that's the thing that I really focus on, is I really want to be a good dad, a good father. Wherever my kids are, I want to be able to roll in and be welcomed with a warm hug. And I don't want them to be a disgruntled nature where you weren't there for me, and I know that from mistakes, because I wasn't there for a number of years, and it's caused some pain and heartache that I'm not going to continue carrying forward. And I'm going to work on that every day.
Nice. You heard it from the man himself. He says, I've done it. I've experienced it. Don't want to do it no more. I like it.
Yeah. And I backslide. I backslide all the time, and I backslide. But it's the type of relationship now that my girls are older, we can have the mature conversations like, hey, honey, I'm sorry that I did that. That's my fault. I will change things up. I will commit to you doing differently. And they see it and they understand it. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're trying to talk to a 4 or 5 year old kid, they don't understand that.
Yeah.
So if you're an entrepreneur and you got a young kid, hate to say, bro, you got to read them books at night and then do the work after they go to bed.
Yeah. Right. I feel you on that one. Oh, let's see. All right. So Now, it's the show's called The Dark Horse Entrepreneur. I'm willing to bet that sometime in your varied career, you've had that dark horse persona where you felt like all the odds were set against you. Would that be a fair assumption?
Man, that is every day.
Is it every day? How do you overcome that feeling, that dark horse persona? How do you crush forward, even when you feel like everyone's against me?
No, they're not against you. They just, it says, I'm not what you think I am. You are what you think I am.
Ooh.
Right. So people will always say things to you. They will tell you can't do things based on their own personal limitations. And it took me a long time to figure out that's what was going on. People, like the people who criticize you, who talk bad about you, they're not working as hard as you. And that's what it is. And once you finally come to that moment and they go like, hey, you know what the best revenge is? Success. I know you're not going to outwork me. Good luck. I dare you. I double dog dare you.
even when I have two girls.
Yeah. But I mean, it never gets easier. You just get better. Like I've really, figured out over time that I don't answer all the phone calls anymore. I don't answer all the emails anymore. When somebody's trying to sell me something, I know what the priorities are in my life. I know what drives value, whether that's through revenue, through my business, through personal satisfaction, and most importantly, through time with my kids. And so I prioritize those, and then everybody else gets what's left over. Nice. And that's how I organize it.
There it is, right there.
But it takes a lot of people a long time to figure that out.
And some don't, and unfortunately, some don't. You watch them fall by the wayside. All right, so given this awesome experience you had, what top tip would you want to pass on to those entrepreneurs, not the wantrepreneurs, because they're not going to listen to you anyway. They've probably checked out of the podcast by now. I mean, those folks that are out there actually wanting to grind and level up their life or their business, what would you offer them?
Get one of these. It is a notebook. I have a stack of them. If you check out my Instagram, it's just funny because I fill them out and I just throw them in the back of my closet when I'm done. And if I need something, I'll go back in there. And I finally just pulled all my journals out last week and I stacked them and they're like 2.5 feet tall off the ground.
Oh man.
But it's funny is this is the little manifestation journal. So a lot of people don't understand the process of manifestation is you get an idea, you don't know where it comes from. It's creative. It just hits your brain like, man, I'm surprised I even thought of that. But it's a gift given to you from somewhere.
Yeah.
And then it's an idea, and you get through this simple action of taking a pen and putting that idea onto paper, you have now manifested that idea into physical reality. That is the process of manifestation. And the only difference between that real goal happening in life, you being able to fully realize it, and that piece of paper is the amount of work that you're willing to do. And so this is the way that I explain it. And it's just sheer math. I have all of my goals written down on my inside cover. 3 months, 1 year, 3 years, lifetime.
Nice.
I know I can only really affect the next 90 days of my life. And so those 3-month goals are all broken down into subtasks on the next page. And every day I get up and I take one of those subtasks and I put it down on my calendar as my game changer, the thing that I'm going to do today. And if I dedicate 2 hours today of focused time toward the thing that's most important to me over the course of a month, that's 40 hours. That's only 5 days work weeks. You can take the weekends off. That's one solid work week every month geared toward the thing that's most important to you. Now, if you put all of your best effort into one solid week towards your best objective, how much further do you think you're going to be on it?
Oh, yeah.
Over the course of a year, that's a solid work quarter. One solid quarter of work on the things that are most important to you. And if you look back through all of my journals, I have accomplished all of my goals. Nice. I mean, it's funny because I hammered down early January, February, and I looked down at it because I just put it so much time because January is kind of slow for us. But I'd hammered out 66% of my yearly goals by the second week of February. And I kind of like stuck there coasting. I'm like, what do I do?
I'm done.
I buy an 18 van and I go do something stupid.
There you go. It's funny you mentioned that because I have here this one. Oh, here, let's do this.
Yeah, it's tough with your background.
There we go.
I get it. There you go.
There it is. So because I have always been a journaler, my daughter bought me this.
That's really cool.
She saw that, those little ads you get on Instagram or whatever. She goes, oh, I'll get that for my dad. So yeah, I'm a big fan of journal. I'm one of those folks that believe in the fact that you're getting that idea from somewhere, whatever you believe in, God, Allah, Mother Earth, the infinite universe. And what you do with it is the next thing, right? Oh, okay, I got the idea. I got to write it down. And now you're telling your brain, you know what? I gave him an idea and he took a moment and he wrote it down. So I'm going to give him another idea and another idea. So when you don't write them down, you stop getting the ideas. But when you write them down and then start taking action on them, they start saying, all right, I'm going to keep giving this guy ideas because they're going after it. That was fire.
The universe will always, conspire in its own best interests, right? And
Absolutely.
if you're one of those people helping the universe conspire along its best interests, it will keep helping you.
Man, it got deep thoughts. I love this. So everyone wants to know more about Griff, combat flip-flops, or to catch up with you to learn about this A-Team project you got going on. And of course, the new commercial we'll have out here, probably about the time this is dropping. Where do we want to send them to?
So website is combatflipflops.com. Everything for our social as a company is at Combat Flip-Flops, Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, Spotify, Facebook. Everything is at Combat Flip-Flops. If you want to connect with me personally, it's an Instagram at combatflipflops.griff, Griff. And then the Van's Instagram is van.gasm, GASM. That's it. At Vangasm, van.gasm.
All right. We're going to be sure to get all those links out there in the show notes so people can just click right on through and catch up with you and maybe get some of those badass flip-flops and, some of the be a better human. Griff, man, I definitely appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us and dropping some amazing knowledge for everyone to learn from.
Well, thank you, Tracy. I appreciate it. And I hope everybody goes out there, has a great day and aspires to be a better human today and tomorrow.
That's right. And drop tacos, not bombs.
All right. There you have it, my Dark Horse family. Matthew Griffin, Griff himself, dropping Army Ranger entrepreneur, warrior level entrepreneurship bombs on us. What thoughts resonated with you? Here are the ones that kind of resonated with me. There were so many, right? Thought number 1, who is the real enemy you are fighting? Now, Griff mentions his time in the 75th Ranger Regiment. During this time, he noticed that the real enemy that was being fought was poverty. He had a realization that he was going to be able to, at some point, go home, back to the USA and all the comforts that his home afforded him. However, the people in the country that he was deployed to, they weren't that lucky. He did not see a solution in the path that he was on. So he changed paths. But here's the thing for me. Let's hold on a second here and let's turn this inwards, my Dark Horse friends and family. What enemy are you facing that is holding you back from all the comforts that your true heartfelt success can afford you? Right? Let's be honest here. There is at least one thing at the core of your continued delayed success. What is that one thing? What is the thing that's at the core? It's delaying your success. I want to chat a bit more about this in episode 223 coming out on Wednesday. Episode 223 is going to be habits and roadblocks that are our own enemies of success. Thought number 2, finding inspiration in old places of negativity. You see, here's the thing. Griff went back to a place that, for him, was a bit mired in negativity, right? Given his previous experiences overseas, which, let's be honest, they were narrowly focused on some very specific objectives. Griff had many negative experiences in the country that he returned to. But return he did, to create new experiences, to create new solutions rather than wander aimlessly in the problems, right? He went and he toured that boat factory, the boot factory, which was about to close. And he was inspired to create an entirely new venture in that same facility. Griff faced his negative experiences head on and turned them into a creative solution. I want to dig a bit more on this one in episode 224, how to turn the negative into creativity. Thought number 3, amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk logistics. Griff dropped this gem of wisdom quickly as he discussed the need that they had to move their factory. Why is it important as an entrepreneur to think about this? Because our job, your job as an entrepreneur, is to deliver resources where they are needed, when they are needed, right? You got to get them to where they're needed at the right time that they are needed in a fashion that creates as little waste as possible. See, inside the execution of that, my friend, is the core of tactics versus logistics. And I'm going to dive a bit more into this in the live in the Facebook group on Tuesday. So be sure you come on over to the Dark Horse Tribe Facebook group and check that out. You can get there easily by going to darkhorseschooling.com/Dark Horse Tribe, all one word. That will take you straight to the group. Or if you're already on Facebook, you can go to the Facebook search bar there, type in Dark Horse Tribe, and that should take you. You should see us right there at the top of those results. I look forward to meeting you in the group. And then finally, thought number 4, chase the dream, not just the money. Griff talked about all the amazing things that he and his team and his company have been able to accomplish and give back to so many worldwide. He was able to do this, in my humble opinion, by chasing his dream of positively impacting the poverty that he saw, that we talked about early. You know, the undereducation of women, right? By positively getting out there and impacting it, right? You see, it's not just about the money. It's about the impact you can have on yourself in all those in the world around you. And I'm going to dig a bit more on this one on Thursday in the Dark Horse Tribe Facebook group. I'm going to share with you some reasons why you should chase your dreams, but not just for the money. Man, and there were so many other lessons and tips. What cool ideas, inspiring tips, or titillating thoughts resonated with you today? Whatever they were, take some time today. Take some time right now. Write them down, and then get out there and put them into action. Get out there, run your race, get your results, and let me hear about them. Seriously, no joke. Email me at tracy@darkhorseschooling.com. Share the tips or ideas that you came away with, how you put them into action, and what results you gained from them. Heck, probably even bring you on the show so that you can share those ideas yourself. And if you don't want to come on the show, that's cool too. Come on over to the Facebook group, share with them there. I want to celebrate your successes with you. Now, next week, our interview guest is going to be Michael Stein. As I mentioned earlier, he's an American entrepreneur, an actor, an entertainer, stand-up comedian, and filmmaker. Michael Stein is the founder of Stein Media Incorporated and Abadeck Incorporated. Stein Media is an independent production company that deals with multiple genres of filmmaking, including television, commercials, events, and films. And Abadeck is a tarp selling company in Georgetown, Texas, and they're also very actively involved in charity work. Are we feeling a trend here? All right. It's going to be another great interview episode you're not going to want to miss. Now, I know you want to keep getting all these valuable tips and inspirational stories from this podcast, the guests I'm lucky enough to bring on. So please, as I mentioned earlier, go on down there, hit that subscribe button, drop us a 5-star rating, write us some kind words in the reviews. Heck, write us some constructive criticism, ask some questions. Tracy, you should stop doing this and you should start doing that. I'm open to it. I want to hear from you. I read every single one of those reviews. And of course, do not keep all this entrepreneurial GOLD all to yourself. Share the podcast with other entrepreneurs and business owners you know will get value from it. And with that, my friends, I'm going to leave you as I always do. Think successfully and take action.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
You know this!
Thanks for tuning in.
Check us out at www.darkhorseschooling.com.
All right.
My name is Tracy Brinkman.